Welcome to the More Than a Collector podcast. I'm your host, Matt Galvin of Straight Race Cards. This podcast is all about highlighting collectors' stories, where our aim is to go beyond the cards and understand the purpose and heart behind every collector. I hope you can join in on this journey as we run the straight race of life together, recognizing that each collector has their own incredible story worth sharing. I hope this podcast encourages, inspires you, and reminds you that everyone is more than a collector. Hey guys, Matt Galvin here. Welcome back to More Than a Collector podcast. I'm your host, and man, we are so excited to go just through a journey of discovering other collector stories and just figuring out just the heart and purpose behind their collecting. And I hope along the way you are encouraged and inspired in your journey. And so that is what our goal is. But I am so excited about tonight because one of the guys that has come on has been really one of my favorite people in the hobby. For me, especially since I started out creating content, he has been so gracious as a friend and as a collector and just a wealth of wisdom. And I think what's really unique about him is he collects in one of the ways that is super unique, more unique than many people out there. And so I'm excited for him to share a little bit more about that. So let's go ahead and have him on here. Jay, good to see you, brother.
Hey Matt, what's going on? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, it is a pleasure. Yeah, man. How's everything going for you?
Things are going good. It's kind of crazy. I'm back from vacation, so I'm just catching up on everything that's piled up. But trying to find time to watch videos and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I feel like kind of like a addict where I go on like these binging sessions where I'll just like watch like a ton of content like all at once, either if I'm on a drive or doing some of the work that allows me to listen to something where I'll just watch like, it'll be like 8 videos and I'll look up and be like, I just listened or watched YouTube for like 2 hours. That was great. So
yeah, double speed is the way to go.
I'm all about. I had a buddy that told me you watch things in 2x, and I was like, "That you're insane." And then I tried it, and it was like a light bulb clicked, and I was like, "You're telling me I can watch an hour video in 30 minutes? This is amazing." So,
right.
Pro tip for anyone out there: 2x is always the way. But no, Jay, man, it's fun to have you on, and I am just excited because I've gotten to know you a little bit more, and I love your story and what you're doing with your collecting. How you collect it. I think it's so fascinating. So I'd love for our audience to hear a little bit more about kind of your background, your story, why you collect, and then we can branch off into some of the things that you're passionate about. But yeah, give us kind of your background and your story.
So I started collecting. I think my story is pretty similar to a lot of people. I collected as a kid, and the earliest packs that I can remember opening are probably 1984 to 86 top sets, baseball. And I remember those being a huge part of my collection. I kept everything in rubber bands and shoe boxes. No one in my family really collected, but my aunt was a big proponent for me to collect. And I remember her always bringing stuff back. And every time we would go to a store, whether it was Woolworths or wherever, Rite Aid, we would just buy. If there were cards there, I bought cards.
Awesome.
So I remember having a lot of cards, in that era that call it junk wax, call it whatever you want, and really enjoyed those cards. Into the 90s, early 90s, I became a huge hockey fan. Now, being in Buffalo, we had the Bisons, which was a cool team to have. We would go to the ballpark and it was fun, but there weren't really too many televised games on TV because we lived in an area where it's weird. Buffalo still to this day is blacked out for 5 Major League Baseball teams. We're blacked out for the Yankees, the Mets, the Pirates, the Indians, and the Blue Jays. So those are the closest teams to us. You can't watch them on TV unless you have cable, for the Yankees and Mets, of course, but the others you just can't watch. So to not be able to watch on a regular basis, I think it took away from being a fan. And in Buffalo at that time, the Bills and the Sabres were what it was. But hockey was so exciting to me that I became a huge hockey fan. So early to mid 90s, I was collecting both baseball and hockey, a little bit of football. And then probably from 95 to about 2000, or no, probably to about 98, I was strictly collecting hockey cards. And then probably 98, 99, college rolled around or high school ended and my collecting kind of stopped. But I lugged my collection around with me for my entire life, through my first marriage. And eventually, you get into that point where, I made a really bad decision to sell that collection, and I sold it for nothing. Not that it was crazy expensive, because, the era wasn't full of those crazy type cards, but I sold it. In 2011, I started. I'm sorry, in probably like 2007, 2008, I started collecting again, but I was collecting only football and just the Bills. That was it, only the Bills.
Okay.
And then again, took a break. 2011, I bought my first modern baseball card, and I collected on and off from like 2011 to 2020, mainly Astros, because I'm a huge Astros fan, always have been. And then COVID hit, prices went crazy. I kind of got out of everything, and I never really thought that I could ever be into vintage, only because I thought that it was for a more financially set, collector. I didn't think I could afford it, but I think that was just me not really understanding that it was this whole world and there was something for everybody. So in 2023, I started collecting vintage, but I just kind of made the decision and then I went all in. And I didn't know really what my focus was going to be. I was just collecting stuff to collect. And it really took me like a year to almost figure it out. And that was when I started watching YouTube, watching all the vintage channels, trying to figure out how everyone collected. I got in and I thought maybe everything had to be graded. Oh, if it's not graded, it's, and I kind of fell into that a little bit. And then slowly started figuring it out for myself. And I have developed this little collection that, condition and grading doesn't matter. If there's a card that I like, it could be graded, it could be raw. If it's a card I like, I'm going to add it. But there are some definitely focus points, focus areas that I am looking at as well. So that's kind of my journey. Last year, I started actually, I've been doing YouTube since December of 2024. So I'm coming up on a year. And I'm like documenting. This is like my video documentation of how I collect. But I also this year started doing an actual, like, I don't want to call it a journal, but it is kind of like a journal. And it's me just writing my thoughts on how I collect, how things have changed. And I like going actually back and reading it and adding to it to show like how my evolution of collecting has come along in the vintage world.
That's incredible. I haven't heard many people doing. Is that a physical journal that you're doing?
It's a physical journal that I handwrite in. It has lists in it, and it's really funny because when I started this list of cards that I wanted, and this list just went on for pages and pages and pages. And now you'll see lists that have kind of like become more focused and dwindled down a little bit. But I'm still open to collecting everything. I have a problem with collecting just random like commons from sets from all eras, and they just end up in my collection. I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to that. But there's very specific things too that I've kind of, made it a point to be the main focus of my collection.
Man, that's awesome. It's not, that'd be really cool. I don't know if you will go to shows and have like almost like a post-show reflection or anything in your journal, but it sounds like that'll be a really cool thing, piece to look at, several years down the road as you're collecting. As you've already been able to see, it already has evolved, but from now to, let's say, 7 years from the road, your collection is going to look way different, and probably in a way that you've never even imagined as well. So that's I love that idea, man. I think I'm gonna take a page out of your book, pun intended, to try that. That's a great idea.
I recommend it. I mean, doing the videos is a really nice way to like scratch the itch of being in the hobby. It's a different aspect of the hobby, but I think even writing, and especially when it's not planned, you're just writing and things come on. You're like, oh, this is my thoughts on this, and even in it, I start telling stories of when I was a kid growing up. So I don't know who's going to read it. Maybe my kids will at some point, but it will be me writing that. Those are my, someone will enjoy it, years and years from now when I'm, gone. So.
Well, I think you've set the grounds for a great book, something along the lines of Average Vintage Collector, Beyond Average Collection.
Right.
But no, that's fantastic. I know for me, writing has been such an instrumental piece in my life. I like to wake up early before my kids and wife get up, and so that like cardinal hour between 5 and 7 a.m. are just critical for my day, both from like I like to sit and journal, I like to read and just reflect. And if I don't have that time, I feel like my day is completely altered. But when I do, it's such a refreshing way to start the day, and a good way just to get my mind set on kind of the right things. So that's fantastic you're doing that. I hadn't thought about the collecting angle of that though. So that brings a whole new beast to writing. So I love it. And you've got your one thing I heard you say was you've got a lot of different kind of collecting interest and things going on all kinds of different places. Walk me through some of those avenues that you're most passionate in right now. I know there's a couple that we've talked about, but I'd love to hear some of the other things you're doing.
So one of the main focuses, again, when I first got into vintage, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And just listening to how some people collected, I was kind of like almost doing that copycat thing where I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So I was really into, I had said I was going to be a player collector. And so I was going to do player runs. And I picked like 3 guys, and then it turned into 7 guys, and then it turned into 9 guys. And I found that I was collecting some of the cards, but I didn't necessarily like the card, but I was getting it because I was needed to do this player run. Right. And so I kind of went away from that pretty quickly. The only player run that I really do, and it's not even a run, it's just a player horde, is Boog Powell. And so Boog Powell is kind of like the one constant that has lasted from the beginning through up till right now. So I do have, matter of fact, I have a bunch of Boog Powell cards in front of me, so I can show a couple of those if you want.
Yeah, fire away, man.
So this one right here, this is actually
Let's see if we can put you on the spotlight here.
This was a gift for my wife last Christmas. This is Boog Powell, Mickey Mantle, and Harmon Killebrew. I think that's just an awesome card. I honestly can't believe that she was able to go out and get it. She doesn't really know much about cards, but she knew that I love Boog Powell. She's, in enough that she knew who Mickey Mantle was. And she says, wow, Mickey Mantle and Boog Powell on the same card. So she bought it. She got it graded, which it's amazing. It's I don't really, for me, grade doesn't really matter. Condition does matter. There are things that I look for, but sometimes there's not. Sometimes I will buy a ragged, beat up card because it has those high character things. It's got history behind it. You just never know what that card meant to somebody else, whoever had it before you. So, like stuff like that. So there's that one. And I mean, I can rip through a bunch of these.
Yeah, fire away.
There's just so many, like anything with Boog on it, I'm pretty much getting it. Here's a Milk Duds panel one there. This is a Post cereal. This is a Swell card. Actually, Warren D in the CLE gave me that one.
Oh, nice.
This one I picked up. This is actually a really very difficult card to find. So this is
I remember seeing that.
Yep, and it's Boog Powell with Nagashima, who is like a Hall of Fame, pretty much Japanese player. And this is when he went to Japan to kind of play in like some type of game out there. And there's this card of his. This is the only one there is. These do not become available, and I just happened to run across it at right place, right time, and snatch it up because they just don't come around very often. So that one, I really love this card. The image, I mean, just he looks like a giant there compared to Nagashima.
Uh, what set was that again?
So that is a 1975 JMC Menko card.
Okay.
The set is, I think, completely dedicated to Nagashima. It was like it was either his last year or it was just kind of like his last go around. And Brooks Robinson actually has 2 cards in that set as well with him. And Sadahara O is in there. There's some really good cards in that set.
So why Boog Powell? And before I forget, you know what they call people who collect Boog Powell?
No,
They call them boogers. There's my dad joke of the day.
yeah, there you go. I am the booger when it comes out there then, because I don't think anyone else is collecting Boog kind of like I do. Boog, honestly, there's a story, and I've told it a few times, but I have family down in Baltimore, and I've gone to Camden Yard more than I've gone to any other park. And my uncle, told me about Boog's barbecue. I had no idea what it was, and I was like, well, how come he gets to have a place in Camden Yard? And he started telling me about Boog Powell. And from that point, I really started to learn more and more and more about him. And actually got to meet him at the ballpark one day.
Wow.
And it was cool. It was a lot of fun. He's a funny dude. And it was a good experience. And so not only was that the first guy that wasn't a mainstream household name outside of Baltimore for me anyway, I wouldn't have known about that guy had I not gone down there and started to learn. And then you just look at his stats and you go, holy, this guy had some monster years. And was just a fun-loving guy that stayed with that city for almost his entire career, and was just a good guy in general. So what a better guy to collect than him. So I really enjoyed the way, and he's not, he was built he's a big dude, but he was, had some good defense and really helped him out at the plate as well. One other one I will show.
Let me show you. Let me get you back on. Sorry.
I have a whole bunch, but I won't show all of them just because there's so many that I have here. I just kind of pulled out everything. I love his second year card, rookie cups. Any rookie cup card, I think they're so great. And I love the color on this. Really good one there. I have been waiting on this one.
Is that 63?
That's 63. Yep. And then I have the top stand or the not tops. It's the stand up. I got this. Yep, I got this at Strongsville last year, and then this one is my favorite. Now this is his rookie. It's a 62. The thing with this one is that it's a Venezuelan, and again, you do not see these come up very often at all. I've never seen a Venezuelan 62 Boog Powell. Again, right place at the right time. A little bit of writing on the back, maybe.
I was about to say, I didn't know if that was the signature or if that was something else.
I honestly don't know. I think it says Nelson on it. So maybe Nelson had this prior to me, but that is one of my favorite Boog Powell cards, and I'm really lucky to have run into that, and I got it for a steal on top of it. So they're not cheap. They're not in the condition. I mean, the backs are usually torn up because they're in a book somewhere, glued into an album, and this one just looks fantastic.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, that
is the one player run that I continue to have. I did have player runs when I collected Modern. I collected David Wright, Grady Sizemore, and Evan Longoria. Those were 3 guys that I really enjoyed watching playing. So those guys, other than that, those are my player runs. Another aspect of my collection, though, and it's really probably the heart and soul of my collection, is my Battle of the Bulge collection. And I say just World War II vets in general. So I collect a lot of veterans from World War II, but I really do focus on the Battle of the Bulge guys. Have quite a few of their cards. This is a mixture of Battle of the Bulge and World War II guys. Clarence Mattern is a Battle of the Bulge guy. That's the
That's awesome.
48 Leaf. Terwilliger, Wayne
40,
Terwilliger. I'm
48,
sorry.
48, 49 Leaf.
Yes.
If you,
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's a 48, 49 Leaf. Yes.
I
Yeah, it
just
depends on
finished
who you
that.
ask.
I just finished the book, which is why I was. Yeah, it's a phenomenal book, the Relief book. If you haven't read it yet.
I have not read that one yet, but I have seen it. And I watched the video. I think, was it Mike Moynihan that did the interview?
Yeah, so Mike actually gave me his copy, and then like that very next day, I sat down and I read it in one sitting, and I just sent it back to him, which is funny. So it is. You can definitely power through it, but it's a definite.
Yeah.
I'll put a link in that book for the this podcast, but definitely go check that out. But it's made me passionate about that set being a 49 set, not a 48.
All right, I will henceforth refer to it as the 49 Leaf. There's another one, Earl Johnson. That his story. He is a very highly decorated veteran of the Bulge. Ken Trinkle, I haven't done an episode on him yet, and honestly, he's one of the few where there just is not a lot of information about him as a ball player or as a vet. But he was in the Battle of the Bulge. Few other guys, and now not all these guys were in the Battle of Bulge, but Wayne Terwilliger, again, he's another World War II vet. Eventually, I think once I'm done with my Battle of the Bulge series, I'm probably going to do some spotlights on some of these other guys. Here's a Pete Castiglione, another veteran, and
That's
just
awesome.
Again, Hank Bauer. Hank Bauer's story. I did a little story on him. He's a Marine vet that saw crazy combat. I believe that his platoon was ambushed in the Pacific Islands, and his entire platoon, I think there was only 3 survivors, and he was one of them. It's an absolutely crazy story. Jack Knott. Now this is going to the Play Ball series. Cecil Travis and Buddy Lewis. Here's Buddy Lewis, Play Ball. And Cecil Travis is probably the best shortstop that you've never heard of. His story is excellent. The guy's a career like 302 hitter. I mean, just an incredible career. Not in the Hall of Fame, but probably should get some consideration. And again, just going through some more. Steve Suchak, I just did an episode on him. Really good ball player. Dixie Howell has an incredible story. He is a World War II vet, not Battle of the Bulge, but he was a POW, I believe. Lou Brissy, another incredible story that's coming up, and the same with Mickey Grasso. So those are just kind of some of my, war ones. I do have some graded ones of the bigger names. So Warren Spahn was a Battle of the Bulge vet, also from Buffalo, born and raised in Buffalo.
It's a beautiful 55. That's awesome.
Monty Irvin. He is technically a Battle of the Bulge vet, but he did not see combat. He was in a support unit that didn't have direct combat, but he was there for it. Wow. Hank Thompson, one of my favorite stories. He's got a tragic story, really tough, rough life. I did an episode on him, and his story is just really something. The guy went through hell and back before, during, and after the war. So he's another one. And then Rex Barney is also he's not a Battle of the Bulge vet, but he is World War II vet.
Wow. So, and I guess what about, the military background, Battle of the Bulge, World War II? Like, is there a connection because of your background of like being a first responder, or how did that come to light? Like, what was the spark for you that really got you fired up about growing up players?
Growing up, my parents were divorced. I lived with my mom for the most part, but my mom worked like 3 jobs. So I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house. And my grandmother and my grandfather, their house had 3 things. It had baseball cards, because that's where I kept my baseball cards. And my aunt lived at my grandmother's house, so she was always there. We would always just, baseball cards would be something that we would always do. They had their coffee table was always covered in either National Geographic magazines, Time magazines, or World War II and Civil War like books, like with lots of illustrations in them. history. I don't think History Channel was a thing, but there was always something on TV that was World War II related. We would just watch it. My grandmother and I would just sit there and watch it. My grandfather was in World War II. And so I had a pretty deep appreciation for that stuff, even as a young kid. I remember when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, Band of Brothers came out on
Oh man.
TV. And my dad, who was not a real big TV guy, we rushed home and made sure that we were home every night on Sunday at 9 o'clock to catch the next episode of Band of Brothers. And we fell in love with it, the way that it was done. That's kind of where I learned more about the Battle of the Bulge, was kind of watching that, even though it was, you know, a TV show. It's based on a lot of history. And it's really, that kind of like, that love has always been there for me. And I said, why not? What a better way to connect my love of baseball and my love of baseball cards with something else that I love. And that was, knowing the history of, the U.S. military and conflicts and wars across the world, really.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal when we can take so many different aspects of our life and passions, and we can merge that into cards. I think that's where, for me, I don't know about you, Jay, but I feel like that's where cards come alive. It's like we start connecting these dots, and these threads in our life just start to connect. And it's like, oh, we see this card, and all of a sudden it's more than just a card.
Yeah.
It brings back a certain story that just really ignites all kinds of different things. And so I think that's, for me, and I think it's similar for you, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's part of the reason why cards can be so exciting, because they are more than just a card. They're so much more than that. There's a story there, there's a person there, there's a legacy and a history that we really don't take time to unfold unless we really do our homework and go beyond just a simple card.
Yeah. And the other thing is a lot of those guys didn't have these prolific, MLB careers. Some of them did. I mean, Spahn, Monty Irvin, of course, those guys. But a lot of those cards that I showed, those aren't household names. And once you start digging into the person, beyond the player, it's so much interesting stuff just starts coming alive, and that's what I really love about it. Is learning that stuff, and I'll use Cecil Travis and Earl Johnson as examples. Those guys, their stories, as Hank Thompson. Hank Thompson did have a pretty good career, but Earl Johnson and Cecil Travis, I knew nothing about those guys. And I probably would have known nothing about those guys had I just said, I'm going to collect, Mickey Mantle, or I'm going to, the names I know. I'm so glad that I've been able to say, you know what? I love having those superstars in my collection, but these guys, I love having those cards in my collection, because it's just knowing their stories. And then it's the stories that I just really love that are outside of baseball, and then connect a little bit to baseball and then go beyond that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I've really enjoyed hearing some of those stories that you've shared. It's been phenomenal. Specifically remember the Cecil Travis one. Just really stood out to me. So it's just I think really highly of what you're doing as a collector, but then more than that, it's really just preserving and enduring legacies of let's call it for what it is, of true American heroes.
Right.
That gave some gave their lives for their country, and all of them gave their service and time and efforts when they could have been playing ball or doing something else. And
Yeah.
so it to me, there's no better project or exciting thing to do than preserve the legacy of those great men. So well done, brother. It's phenomenal.
Well, that's a good segue, because we talk about people that where serving their country meant more than the game of baseball. And one of the guys that is just front and center for me on that is Hank Greenberg, right? So Hank Greenberg, this is a guy that left baseball in the prime of his career willingly to go and play, or to go to serve in the U.S. He was drafted, and then he was discharged. And then once Pearl Harbor was bombed, he, took it upon himself to say, I need to be over there. I need to do this. And so I have so much respect for him. Became an instant fan once I learned about that. And he, his cards are not cheap. They are pricey, and I was lucky enough to add a couple. I would like to add a couple more. I have a lifetime goal list, top 10 cards, and he's the only repeat person in that. There's 2 cards of his that I would love to get in my lifetime. So one of those that I did pick up. This is the Gaudi Premium wide pen. This is a Type 2, beautiful card, plain back on there. Really happy to get that, and just a great image of.
It's mesmerizing.
And then, of course, I'll show this one, and this will probably be another segue, right? This.
Oh yeah.
Now this is the error one. His name is spelled wrong on this one. So I believe this one is a little bit more rare because they pulled it and pretty quick. It was only put out in that first set. And so it was reissued later on, I think in like the second or third set. I don't know offhand, but I know that this one's a little bit more rare.
Yeah, this is when we need Mitch, White Sox fan collector. But he's gonna roll over when he hears me say this. But I think they issued it 1 through 36 or 1 through 35 was the first series.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. Someone who's really well versed in Diamond Stars, please make this right. But you had that first series, and then later on you see a lot of duplicates, and that's where they end up fixing the Greenberg. So that's phenomenal that you have that older copy. I'll tell you a funny story about meeting Jay. I think the very first time you and I talked, it was couldn't have been like 2 minutes in, and you just immediately showed me that Greenberg, and my jaw just dropped. I was like, oh my goodness.
I was still excited months later after landing that card. I'm still excited about that card.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you. That is a phenomenal pickup. I mean, those Diamond Stars are amazing, and you have an amazing collection. I know that Greenberg from Diamond Stars is definitely on my high priority list down the road. I also love his his 34 Gaudi in that.
That's on my lifetime list right there. That would be a great one to get.
Yeah, he has some just phenomenal cards. So yeah, and then you're working on the Diamond Stars Hall of Fame run, correct?
I am, and I thank you for calling it a collection, but it's not. It's a very small collection so far. They're a little bit pricey as well, especially with the Hall of Famers. So I only have a few of those, but I try and add one a year. That's kind of just the way that I do things, if that. And the only time I will add them is usually I don't usually buy them online. I usually buy all the bigger stuff in person. And because I only really go to like one big show a year, aka Strongsville, which is not, by any means a big show, but it's the one it's big for me. Other than that, any show that I go to is like a really small one back here. But I only really pick up like one a year. I'm not in a rush to complete this thing. So I just kind of take my time. So some of them that I do have, I have the Rick Farrell, which is not a very expensive card. Again, I don't technically collect only graded cards. I know I've been showing a lot of graded cards. I do like the way that they look in the holders, but I don't, again, grade doesn't really mean too much, but I do like the way that they look in the holders. So the other ones that I have are Carl Hubble, which was the first one that I got, which I love that image. I think it's just a fantastic image. But yeah, I really like that one. And then this one, actually, I got this one for kind of a steal at Strongsville. And the only thing I can think of is because it has a designator on there for a mark on it.
Is that Pie Trainer?
Pie Trainer, yeah.
Yep.
And I got this one really for a great deal. And I, for the life of me, have looked this thing over left and right, and I don't see the mark that they've designated for this. The only thing that I really can see, and I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it on here, there is like a pencil mark or something right up at the top, right about there. I don't know if that is the mark, but it doesn't really matter to me. It could have had something written on it, and I really wouldn't care because the backs, it's the front of the card that really interests me. So
that's right.
My small collection of Hall of Fame Diamond Stars.
So that puts you at what, you've got 4 or 5?
I got 4.
Okay.
Been a long ways to
go. Let's see if I can find. I'm not far behind you. I'll find them later, but I'm at 2 right now, so I'm slowly starting might be too starting is the right word, but I don't know if I would say I'm fully immersed in going after the Hall of Fame run, just because there's so many other things I'm going after. But I will say this is a great plug for Strongsville. I know Rusty and I got to talk about it last week or a couple weeks ago, but I'll be at Strongsville, Jay. So we probably need to
work
have
together.
not be elbowing each other and racing for anyone that has Diamond Stars in their booth.
No, we should work together and try and get a good bundle deal, and sort it out later.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking. I think you and I both go in. We pick the Diamond Stars that we want. I'm gonna go ahead. I think Rusty Vintage Cards just showed his, but I think the one that's been really speaking to me lately, and it might be for you, is actually you may have texted me. This is the one you wanted, but Lloyd Wayner's card. So it's probably we'll probably both be elbowing each other. We need to find a dealer that has multiple of the same Diamond Stars, and then he'll be like, "Why are you wanting 2 of them?" Like, don't worry about it. We need this package deal. So
sometimes my mindset is to go for the bigger ones first. So I wouldn't mind looking at a Lefty Grove or a Rogers Hornsby. I think those 2 are kind of at the top of my list to get. I looked at a Lefty Grove.
That Grove is such a great image.
I looked at his last year at Strongsville and was kind of on the fence about it. And in the end, I'm glad that I passed it up and then was able to come back and rebound with the Greenberg. That's the trainer as kind of like a bonus card. So,
well, that's good news, because I think the one that I would highlight and be after is probably the Charlie Gehringer would be closer to the top of my list. So you can go after the Grove, and I'll go after a Gehringer. So
sounds like a plan.
Good. Well, that's awesome, man. Any other things you're working on right now?
I am working on quite a few things because I can't seem to stay focused. My focus is to not be focused. So when I first got into, again, vintage, I started just kind of scooping stuff up and collecting stuff. And one of the things that I was immediately drawn to were the Redman cards, which I had never seen before and just kind of stumbled on. So I started getting just a bunch. Whenever I could get them at a good price, I would get them. And I was able to grab a bunch online. And then again, at Strongsville, and it was at Stan Locke's table. He had all his that were like 50% off, which I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. Whatever the ticket is on there, I'll take it. So I was able to, and they fit a couple of different things. So Murray Dixon, he's a Battle of the Bulge veteran. So this actually checked off like 2 boxes for me, so to speak. Ewell Blackwell is another veteran, and it had a really good career as a pitcher. Duke Snyder.
Oh, wow.
Which was one of my first ones that I ever got. The same with Pee Wee. I got those in the same deal online.
And those have the tabs on them too.
Yep. Gil McDougald.
Are you specific on wanting only the ones with tabs?
I am being kind of a snob on that. Yes, I enjoy having the tab on this. This one was actually a gift from John, Nerding Out with Cards, sent me
nice.
Sent me this one, which was awesome. That's just amazing that he sent that. This is Minnie Minoso. That would be his rookie season. Hank Bauer, again, I already talked about him, but another vet. And Phil Rizzuto.
Man, I love that Phil, actually. That's awesome. Those colors. They just
that was from Stan's Table. That was from Stan's Table. I think it cost me all of like $15.
That's a no-brainer. Yeah. I think that I hadn't actually, and I feel like I'm still learning every year, but I hadn't really been familiar with that set until earlier this year. And I saw that. And I think what really stood out to me was there's such unique colors that are kind of like almost blended in. And
Yeah.
it almost reminds me of some of like the early tobacco lithographed cards, like a
Mhm.
T206 or something else like that, where you had just this really beautiful blend of colors. And it really works for the set. So, and I'm with you. I would probably be a tab guy as well if I had
Yeah.
to
I'm
do.
not working on a set at all, and those are all different sets. Those are 52, 53, 54, 55, I believe, two's in there. I just grab them up. It doesn't make a difference what year they are to me. If I see one, I want to add it for, like I said, a decent that
Yeah,
Phil Rizzuto, $15. That Pee Wee Reese, I think, cost me 23. I mean, I'll do that all day long.
that's right. That's right.
Um, Another little project that I'm working on that I really kind of fell in love with is the 1964 Topps Giant All Stars. Now, I am definitely trying to put this set together, and my mindset was get the big ones
Okay.
first, and then work your way out. So I'll start. I'll just show what I have. They're not in any order here, but here's Nelson Howard. This is actually a recent pickup of mine, and what I love about these cards, I love the oversize, I love the images. It's the backs that draw me in. I love how it looks like a news article. Um, that's what I really love about this set is the back of the card. But there's Elston Howard. There's your man there,
I
Kaline.
hold on. You keep going, keep going. We got to.
Kaline. We got Warren Spahn right there. And what else do I have here? Here is Karl Yastrzemski.
That's a cool shot.
Yep. And then this one I love. This is the short print Koufax.
Isn't that the same? Isn't that the same image as either his?
It's
Is it his 60?
63 or no, 65
I
maybe.
was gonna say 65.
Yeah,
Yeah.
65. Yep.
Here's my
Oh, there's K-Line. Yeah.
here's my K line.
There you
It's my
go.
only one I have, but those are awesome.
There's Frank Robinson. And then we got the Mantle there, which is a great one. Rocky Colavito, that's another more recent pickup of his. I've got the Clemente.
That's a cool image.
Yep. Nelly with his big wad of chaw in there.
I swear, Nelly has. I feel like every card he has has a huge
Wad of
wall
chaw. I
in
mean,
his mouth.
yeah, it's unreal. There's Ken Boyer. What else I got? And that's pretty much the run that I have. So the two big ones that I'm missing right now are Mays and Aaron.
Okay.
I believe one of the two is a short print. I think the Mays is a short print. So those are really the only two big ones I have left in the set to get. And then after that, I can kind of, coast a little bit into putting the rest of that together slowly.
That's awesome. You should definitely pick one of those off in Strongsville if you run across one.
Those with the exception of the Colavito and the Howard, I got those all at one table. And the guy gave me a great bundle deal on all of them. So I think for all of those other ones, I want to say, Mantle and Koufax alone they get pretty pricey. And then you throw in the Clemente, that's another one. I think for that stack that I got there with those three plus all the others, it was about $250, which I didn't think was a bad deal, considering that sometimes that Koufax alone goes for $250. So
that's fantastic. Well done.
Yep. What else? I can just keep randomly picking stuff up unless you got questions. If you got questions, I'll gladly answer.
You're on a roll here. I'll think of some more, but
all right.
Yeah, if you've got some more firepower, I'd say
other projects that I'm working on. I've talked about it before, and that's my. I'm going to see how this works. But this is my 1973 Topps set build. That this is my first vintage set that I'm putting together, and I am so close to completing this set. Pretty much everything is in here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Very few holes to fill in here. I'm under 30 cards to go. There's the Schmidt rookie in here. which is the biggest card, and I think that was a card that I got pretty early on because I wanted to, kind of get the tough ones out of the way. Let's see if I can show it. It's right there, Schmidt.
So there you go. Yeah, right there on the right.
And the only one that's not in there is this Clemente, because this Clemente was one of the first vintage cards I fell in love with. So I gave that one its own spot. I'll probably try and pick up another one just to throw in there so that the set is complete. Not much more that I have to go on that. So I was hoping to get it done by the end of the year. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's so attainable that I think I'm really close to. I can get that done in no time. Probably Strongsville, I would think. Just wrap everything up there where there's a bigger selection for me to pick from. Other stuff that I'm working on. Another set. I'm like really big into set building. Now, I don't do much football anymore, but this 1969 it is awesome. I love the colors. I love the images. It was just, and I stumbled on this. I bought this like not a mystery box, but it was a hodgepodge box of probably like 500 cards of all sports at a show. They wanted $25 for it. And I wanted there were 60 of these cards in there. And I was like, well, that's enough to jumpstart, a collection. So I went to my local store and started buying some of the singles. And recently I picked up that Unitas down in the bottom corner there.
Nice. That's awesome.
$5.
$5.
$5. And I was really happy to get that. It's actually a pretty easy set to put together. The ones that I like, the one I like about this is that Piccolo and Sayers are both in it. And I really would love to add those two next. There's a good one of Lilly right there, Bob Lilly.
There you go, my Cowboys.
And that one was, I want to say that one was $2. So that's just a fun side project that I've kind of been putting together. And, I didn't pull out much modern stuff, but I've been getting back into hockey big time, but it's really just putting together a lot of stuff that I missed from my childhood collection. So a lot of 90s upper deck sets and Flair and a couple Parkhurst sets. I didn't pull any of that stuff out. That's just in the beginning stages, but I've really fallen back in love with hockey. I've actually started watching it a lot more on TV. I'm following that up. So I don't have anything there to show. I will say that another rabbit hole that I walked or fell down was when I started getting into a little bit of vintage boxing. And again, you start to
that's right. Wow.
You start to find stuff like this, and then you start to learn about.
Is that a T218 champion?
It is a T218 champion card. This is Joe Choinski, and again, I don't hardly anything about boxing. I didn't know anything about boxing. I just knew that I loved the images on the cards. But you talk history, and there's so much history on early boxing and how it was illegal in some states, and there were these hidden matches everywhere. And some of the stories on the guys, like even when they were doing bare knuckle boxing, guys were dying in the ring. It's unbelievable. And this Joe Choinski is actually the only person to ever knock out Jack Johnson. But it was before Jack Johnson was a big name. And after their fight, they were both arrested because where they were boxing, it was illegal. So after the match, they just fought each other. They were both arrested. And while they were locked up together, Joe Choinski started to teach Jack Johnson some things about boxing and showing him tactics and stuff. And eventually Jack Johnson became this mega superstar. And him and Joe Choinski actually remained pretty close after that. So it was kind of a cool thing to learn about. But these are so affordable. This is from the Churchman series. And these are.
Is that King's of Speed or a different set?
This is the 1938 Churchman cigarettes. I'll show you the back.
I want to say, because I think it's the same set. I have the Owens from that set.
Yeah, most likely it is.
and here's the no, that's 39. Sorry, 39.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's really cool about boxing. My only kind of connection with boxing, which is kind of funny. So my great granddad immigrated from the States over to Ireland, or from Ireland to the States, and so the Irish had a really big beef with the Japanese with all the wars. And for better or worse, I can't say that my great granddad was the most upstanding of gentlemen. He helped run the Irish mafia and ran all the speakeasies in St. Louis.
All right.
But anyway, so the story goes though he was watching a boxing match and an Irish guy was fighting against a Japanese guy, and the Irish guy was losing. Well, that really ticked off my granddad. We called him Dodo. So Dodo gets up and he just gets so hacked off that he grabs like the nearest chair and like jumps in the ring and starts like beating this guy with the chair.
WWF style.
That's right. And gets carted off to jail. And so anyway, so when I think of vintage boxing, all I can think about is my great granddad Dodo just beating a guy mercilessly with a chair.
Awesome. Yeah, there's some great sets out there. Kid Berg was a really young Jewish boxer, just a great career on him. Owen Moran, I believe. Yeah, Owen Moran was a former champion. This is just the image and the images again. Great images on these. This is the Leaf, John Henry Lewis.
Those are beautiful.
And then this is the 51 ringside, which I think is a really underrated set. I really enjoy this one. This one's really
kind of
nice.
looks, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of the 51 and 52 tops, honestly, from the baseball.
Yeah. Now these two were gifts from. I got these as gifts from Doc Van Hoot. He's got a channel out there. He's a really nice guy. He sent those to me. Really cool because those are really the only ones that I have from those sets. Really nice cards. So again, I picked those up because they are really affordable when you see them. There's a couple of exhibits, Ezra Charles and Louis Salas, or Laro Salas, which this one was really hard to find. It wasn't in TCDB, so I had to kind of do some research and figure out where that was from. But there's so many exhibits out there. They're not all really, there really isn't a checklist on all of them. So it's really tough to figure those out.
It's rare when you can't find it in TCDB.
Yeah, I know. And I had to like jump through hoops to they were like, well, can you tell us what else is in the set? And I said, I have no idea what else is in the set. That's the only one that I know of. So I didn't know if it was missing from a set, but eventually it got added in there. So
that's awesome.
More exhibits. Frank Baumholz, and he's part of my World War II collection. And then Joe Gordon, who I'm a big Joe Gordon fan of, just for what he did out in Cleveland with Larry Doby and just kind of being the, their version of Pee Wee Reese, how Pee Wee Reese was with Jackie. So it was cool to add that one as well.
So let me ask. So you've got a lot of collecting venues that you're going down. I know for me, I feel like I have a ton as well. But how would you say you've, I guess balance like picking up different things from different sets? Like, how do you even go about like what you want to go after, or like as you think about kind of this next year, what does that look like?
It's all about opportunity for me. So if I have, and I'm terrible at saving. So when I have $20 in hand, that's $20 extra than I normally have. Sometimes I will just go on like eBay and see what, or one of the Facebook groups, and look for something where, and very rarely will I take that 20 and spend it all on one card. I'll split it up into like, what can I get the biggest bang for my buck as far as like quantity? And I'll look through on my watch list, which is just filled with stuff, and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to get one of these and one of these and one of these, or I'm going to bundle this together, or I'll go on those Facebook groups where there's the, they have like the claim sales where it's like 50 cents a card, buck a card. And a lot of times that's where I just buy like commons and stuff. So I never really, it's not like I pick a card and I say the next card that I'm going to get is going to be this. And I think that's what keeps it really interesting for me and fun, is because I have such a broad range of things that I collect that nothing ever gets boring to me, because I can, like right now I'm on this big hockey kick, but in an instant I can pivot to something else and go, okay, I'm going to go back to boxing, or I'm going to go back to working on my 73 set, or I'm going to focus on my 69 set. My local card shop, I know every time I go in there, it's really to just set build, and then whatever's left over, I'm going to take a look in his case and see what is new and if there's something there that I want. So I don't really ever have a plan. I just very impulsively say, I'm going to get this today. I'm going to get this today. I did try and plan this year. This year is in 2025. When I went to Strongsville, I said, I've got a plan, and this is what I'm going to get. And the plan really was that Hank Greenberg card, the Diamond Star.
Yeah.
And I stuck with that plan pretty good, but it almost didn't happen because I was so overwhelmed and, kept trying to think, well, here's one right here. And I had to stop myself from just buying the first one that I saw, and giving myself a chance to walk around. But then when I started walking around, I started spending my budget on all these other things, and my plan kind of fell apart, or seemed to anyway. And I was thankful that I was able to go back. But there was a lot of things on my list that I said, well, I'm going to walk out of Strongsville with X, Y, and Z. And instead, I walked out with the main card that I wanted to go with, but then also like a stack of cards like this. And that's always been kind of my thing, is the quantity portion of it. Like I just start going and saying, oh, I want a little bit of this, and I want a little bit of this, and I want a little bit of this. So I'm trying to change and really get a plan down for next year, because there are some goals. The thing with me, with so many things that I'm in, I don't think I'll ever really complete anything. And I'm okay with that. I'll complete the sets, but will I ever complete the Hall of Fame run on the Diamond Stars? Maybe, maybe not. Will I ever complete, some of these other projects, or is it always just going to be a mishmash of stuff? And I honestly love having the mishmash of stuff. I think that's just me. I think that's just the way I've always collected, that I like so much that I'll look at something and say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know who this person is, but I'm going to learn something about them. And that's what a lot of the boxing ones, I bought those cards because they were affordable in my price range. I liked the look at them, of them. And then I started to research the people afterwards, and it was like, wow, this has really turned out to be a really good buy, because this is a great story. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to go or the wrong way to go, but that's my way to go. I just kind of buy a little bit of everything, and I just really love collecting cards. That's really what it boils down to.
And you're a true collector, and I respect that so much. And I think, it sounds like from what you're doing is, I would call it opportunistic. It's when you see, an opportunity to go get something, and maybe that means diving into something completely new, you jump at it. And I think there's a lesson for all of us collectors to learn from that. We don't need to be so bogged down by that one swim lane that we're in, that we miss out on some of the great opportunities that are out there in collecting. I think I can get so I would say I'm like the opposite, where I get so locked in on my mission. I'm very goal driven and achievement driven. So I'm like, I need to finish this set. This is what I came here for. And so I'll go to a show or something, and I'll come up disappointed. And I think in the last year or so, as I've tried to work on branching out, it's really put a lot more joy in my collecting, because I've been able to experience a lot more, new things, and things that I honestly can get more excited about than the original projects. So that's where I would encourage anyone, is think about where in your collecting can your journey wing or branch out into new and exciting projects. So that's awesome. I know I'm continuing to learn that lesson. So I'll be excited to walk the floor with you, and to learn and grow from you as you do that there. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun just to see the mindset of how do you look at a table? How do you
Right.
go about, what do you see? So that'd be fun, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, you know what a part of it is for me is my other hobby that I have is fishing, and I'm the same type of way with lures. Okay, so like in my basement, I have a pegboard with all these lures on it, and I'll go to Cabela's or whatever, and I will just start buying lures, and I'm like, oh, this one looks cool. Look at this one. Look. And I know that it's stuff that I'm never going to use, and half the stuff's sitting on packet and branded in the package, and I
Right.
never use it, but I bought it because I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool. This maybe one day I will. Maybe one."
That's right.
And it's almost kind of like the way that I collect cards. You know what I mean? But then there are certain, like we'll say fishing rods. There is no need for me to have 20 fishing rods, but I do, and two of them are really top of the line fishing rod reels. But the rest of them, it's like, oh well, this one's on sale, and this is yeah, I'll just grab this one. There's no need for it, but I just do it. And sometimes I feel like that's how it goes with me with collecting cards is kind of the same way. So I don't know. Maybe that's just something with me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know.
No, it means you're a true collector at heart. And that is definitely something that's admirable. And a lot of people in this day and age of collecting have lost the spirit of collecting, and that's partially why I get so excited when someone like you can come on and we can talk, is because you embody what it means to be a collector. You embody just that chase and the excitement. And every time I watch one of your videos, I can see that in you, brother. And so I'm always encouraged, and like, man, he loves cards, and I just really appreciate that about you, man. So it's really been fun just to follow your journey, and honestly continue to follow in your journey. I think, as I've gotten to know you better, it's like you start to celebrate when you understand some of the things that people are really excited about and chasing after. And so I can't wait to celebrate with you,
Yeah.
later earlier next year, as we go grab some cards in Ohio. But any final thoughts here?
No, I appreciate the kind words, man. And I'm just, I'm just having fun. I mean, that's really what it is. And I really enjoy this hobby, and I enjoy this community, and getting to know yourself and so many other people out there. And, my phone's just kind of been taken over by some of the YouTube personalities, and just having the texts here and there. Like, it's just been so, like rewarding, I guess. This is like a bonus. So I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate getting to know people and just talking. I mean, I can talk cards all night, but we don't have all night. So
That's right. Our bedtimes are calling us.
yeah.
Early bedtime guys here.
Hmm.
Well, it's awesome, man. Well, Jay, it has been a privilege to have you on, brother. Where can everyone find you on social media?
Social media, I am on Instagram, average vintage collector, and I am here on YouTube pretty much. J average vintage collector on YouTube. So
Love it. Well, everyone go subscribe to Jay. Hope you are encouraged by the story. And if you would love to, get to talk so we can hear your story, please reach out. I would be overjoyed just to connect, and would love to have a further conversation with you. So appreciate everyone. Thanks for watching, and keep running the straight race as always. See ya.